How do offshore companies work? A typical feature of offshore companies, despite every single offshore company contrasts to a degree relying on the corporate law in the applicable jurisdiction. Every single offshore company will, in general, enjoy certain center qualities or characteristics. They are comprehensively not exposed to taxation in their home administration. The corporate routine will be intended to advance business flexibility. Guideline of corporate exercises will generally be lighter than in a developed country. If taxation is absent or guideline in the home administration does not, obviously, absolve the important organization or company from taxation or regulation abroad. Some companies, for instance, Holds Limited is joined in the British Virgin Islands, yet is recorded on the New York Stock Exchange, where it is subject both to US taxation and to the financial guideline by the US Securities and Exchange Commission. Another feature of offshore companies is the restricted amount of data accessible to the general population. This changes from one jurisdiction to another. Toward one side of the scale, in the Cayman Islands and Delaware, there is essentially no openly accessible data. On the other hand, however, in Hong Kong, companies record yearly returns with specifics of directors, investors, shareholders, and yearly records. Be that as it may, even in a jurisdiction where there is generally little data accessible to the public, in general, starting at the right, most jurisdictions have laws which license law authorization specialists either locally or from abroad to approach important information, and now and again, private individuals. In connection to adaptable corporate law, nearly all offshore companies will typically expel corporate bonds, for example, flimsy capitalization rules, financial assistance guidelines, and restrictions on corporate capacity and corporate advantage. A number have likewise expelled or watered down guidelines identifying with the maintenance of capital or limitations on payments of allowances. Past the normal subjects, various jurisdictions have additionally sanctioned exceptional corporate arrangements to attempt and pull in business by offering corporate components that permit complex business transactions or reorganization to take place more smoothly. Offshore companies are utilized for a range of business and private purposes, some real and economically beneficial, while others might be unsafe or even criminal. Claims are much of the time made in the press about offshore companies being utilized for money laundering, illegal tax avoidance, extortion, and other white-collar crime. Offshore companies are likewise utilized in a wide assortment of business exchanges, from conventional holding organizations to joint endeavors and posting vehicles. Offshore companies are additionally utilized generally, regarding private riches for protection and tax mitigation. The utilization of offshore companies, especially in expense arranging, has turned out to be controversial as of late, and various prominent companies having a high standard profile have stopped utilizing offshore entities in their structured group because of open campaigns for companies as such to pay a fair share of government taxes. All informative data in connection to the utilization of offshore companies are famously hard to obtain as a result of the opaque idea of a significant part of the business, and as a matter of fact in many cases, that, as a rule, the companies are utilized specifically to sustain the confidentiality of transactions or individuals. Commonly is it held view that most offshore companies' uses are driven by tax mitigation and regulatory arbitrage, in spite of the fact that there are a few proposals that the amount of structuring of tax might be not exactly as thought. Other allude to legitimate uses. Offshore companies incorporate uses as joint ventures, financing SPVs, stock exchange listing vehicles, holding organizations and resource holding structures, and exchanging vehicles. intermediate work of offshore companies. For instance, utilizes which may be viewed as legitimate or illegitimate relying on a specific individual's perspective on the legitimacy of globalization, and tax incorporate uses as investment venture and private wealth holding vehicles. Thanks for watching. Please share your reviews and ask if you have any questions regarding this video in the comment section below. We'll answer you shortly. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more such videos.